Claude Design released a few days ago and it's already taken the internet by storm. It essentially just turned a couple of unicorn companies into features within its platform, and I've spent a bunch of time inside figuring it out so you don't have to. In this video, I'm walking you through every single thing Claude Design can make, from static websites all the way to a full design system built from scratch. By the end of this, you should know exactly how you can use this super powerful tool. Okay, so before I get into the tool, let me set the stage for what Anthropic actually is doing here. Anthropic already has Claude Code for engineers and co-work for documents and tasks, and now they've dropped Claude Design. It's a visual canvas that sits on top of the same model that writes your code. And the thing that makes this different from every other design tool is that every output is just code underneath. Whatever you make is just HTML and CSS under the hood, which means you can tweak it in a browser, export it, or hand it off to Claude Code and keep building on top of it. I'll be honest, when I first heard about this, I thought it was going to be a toy and not nearly up to par with industry-leading products. There are definitely some shortcomings with it that I will point out, but it's still an awesome and super powerful tool. Real quick, before we get into it, if you're enjoying this video, hit like and subscribe. I'm an internet entrepreneur running a SaaS company and a marketing agency, and I will make sure you stay on top of AI so you can dominate the next decade. Let's get into the tutorial. Okay, so the first thing you're going to want to do is go to claude.ai/design. Now you will need to be on the pro plan or above. This is not available on the free plan. Once you're logged in, you will notice the sidebar that has the 4 sections: prototype, slide deck, from template, and other. This is essentially depending on if you're making a prototype, a website, an app, a slide deck. There's also this option other, which allows you to roll out whatever you want to design. And then down at the bottom here, there's a button that says Set Up Design System. I'm going to come back to that a little later because it is a little more complex. But it might just be the most powerful thing in the entirety of Claude Design. For now, I'm just going to show you what you can make in Prototype. Okay, so when you're designing something, it's going to ask if you want it wireframe or high fidelity. Wireframe is just for very rough, quick sketches, but for most things, you're going to want to go with high fidelity. This will give you a more fleshed out and detailed design. Creating a wireframe shouldn't use as much of your usage capacity. However, it's not going to be as useful for many tasks. All right, let's start with the thing I think most of you are going to use this for: websites. Okay, so this is my SaaS company welcome screen. This is our current website. I personally think it's gorgeous and very good. It does convert very well. Now, what I essentially put into Claude Design was a couple of screenshots along with the URL, and I told it to redesign the website to give me like a different look and different design inspiration. As you can see at my prompt here, I said, make me a cool website design preview of welcomescreen.com. Now, I gave it a couple of screenshots. This is not a good prompt, by the way. If you want something very specific, then be more specific in your prompt. I'm just doing this for example purposes. But then it came and it asked me a few questions. It asked me, what's the brand name? Do I own the brand? I said, yes, I own Welcome Screen. And it asked me a couple other things of what kind of stuff I wanted to go for, of which I answered. And then after a while, which I won't show you, but it usually takes about, 2 to 5 minutes, I would say, it came up with this. Now, evaluating it against our current actual website, I would say it's quite a bit worse. However, there are some really cool elements that we can definitely steal from. It's created a different, more pastel color palette. It's even suggested that we put our mobile product here on our hero image that I do agree we need to do. And it's just given us a completely different vibe, which is what I asked for. Now, if I wanted to tweak this, I would just go to edit and I can change the whole background color. I can make it red if I want to, not that that looks very good, but I can also select certain things on the page and change specific colors within here, which is really cool. If I want to change the size of something, it is saying mix because this thing is too general, but if I click down into something specifically, like this text, I can go ahead and change this to black if I wanted to. I can do the same thing with any of these buttons. I can change the padding, size, color, whatever I want. For a solo founder like me, this is wild. What used to take me an afternoon of wrestling with my own copy or a week of back and forth with a designer is now just one prompt and a coffee break. I can test out full different vibes, full different sayings. Whatever I want to tweak, it's very easy for me to just switch something very quickly. And because the output is real HTML, you can export the whole thing and push it to actual live domain extremely quickly. If you want to test 10 different landing pages with 10 totally different vibes, you can absolutely do that with this. One thing to flag, obviously the first pass is rarely perfect. My welcome screen rebuild is missing a ton of stuff, including animations. The color palette is wrong. So you are going to take a lot of tweaking, and then you can argue, hey, well, if it takes a lot of tweaking, why would I not just have a designer do it in the first place? But hey, this product's only going to get better and better. But of course, you do still need design taste to create something that looks visually very appealing. This is just going to get you a lot of the way there. All right, next up, let's go to mobile apps. This one surprised me. I've been kicking around this side project idea for a fishing app called Fisher. Think of it like a Strava for anglers. Now, I'm not actually going to make this, but it is something I thought would be cool. You can log every catch with a photo, pin it to a map, and over time you build a private record of every fish you've ever pulled out of the water. I've never had the time to actually build it, and I probably never will, but I figured I'd let Claude Design take a stab at designing the onboarding flow. Onboarding is usually the hardest part of a mobile app to get right. It's extremely important for converting customers, and so that's where I wanted to get the start. So as you can see, I gave it another generic, very bad prompt, but again, it's just for example purposes, so it doesn't matter that much. If you do want something more specific, then you do have to give it a more specific prompt. But it then went into this clarifying questions mode that felt almost exactly like plan mode on Claude Code. It asked me who my target user was, it asked what emotional tone I wanted the app to carry, and it asked what I wanted the user to actually accomplish by the time they finished onboarding. I answered all the questions with what I wanted, and 4 minutes later, I had a full onboarding flow sitting right in front of me. So just to show you what it actually looks like, here it is. You can click through the slides like this, but you can actually go through the flow just by clicking the buttons on the screen, which is really cool. So I'll say cast off. I will put my email in, blah, 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 fake password, create accounts, toggle on the things that I will need, all set, continue, check the fish that I want to catch, continue, check the kinds of water I'm fishing, done, metric imperial, done, give me instructions, try it, next, and then it will show me how big the fish are, save catch, finish setup. And then it's going to go right into the paywall page. Now this is super cool, and it's something that would probably take a designer in the olden days, maybe even like 5 years ago, maybe a week of work. So it's insane that you can just do this in 4 minutes. Even if it doesn't get you all the way there, it's going to get you to a really good base point. And then again, you can click on these certain things and change the background color. If I want to change a specific icon or specific text, I can do that here. Now, I'm not a designer, so it's going to look bad, but everything is editable and it's extremely easy to do so, which is really cool. You can even draw on the design, so I can draw a fish here like that. I can leave a comment somewhere on the screen. If I'm working on this with some other people, I just click on the screen and I will describe the issue. I think we should make this brighter. Go here, send to Claude. And now it's actually going to make this brighter with Claude. Now I can also comment again and not send it to Claude, so I can have, hey, let's try a different vibe here. Now I'm just going to comment this and my teammates will see it, but it's not actually going to change anything within the design for Claude. So is this perfect? No. Obviously in certain things, there's a weird gap here. Some of the text is a little off, the comment feature is a little finicky, but again, it gets you very close to being all the way there. And then from there, you can start tweaking and do things a lot more easily. Okay, let's move on to capability number 3, which is slide decks. So for this fishing app, I created a slide deck, a pitch deck. Now, as you can see, I have it here. It's called Fisher, has the problem slide, the solution slide, all the things that a really good pre-seed pitch deck would have. Now, unfortunately, it seems to have crashed here. Not sure what's going on here. Okay, so we'll go back. But yeah, it's an extremely good slide deck in my opinion. Now, obviously, you need to tweak all the numbers and all those things. You can also play around with the themes, do whatever you want there. But it's an amazing starting point, and quite honestly, this is a lot better than what 90% of people could design themselves. And I made this all with the terrible prompt, I want to make a mock investor deck for the fishing app Fisher, and I didn't give it the designs or any of the reference stuff. Now, there is an AI company called Gamma that actually specializes in this. I haven't tested it out personally, but I've heard it's very good. Let me know if you want me to do a video on that. But I can't imagine that it's too much better than this. They might have more animations and things like that. And again, it's a whole other paid service. So if you already have Claude subscription, then I would just go ahead and use this one. It is crazy that Claude is just turning these unicorn billion-dollar companies into features within their own products. The slide creation isn't the biggest part of Claude design, yet they've just included it as like a section, which is, to me, is nuts. Again, it does the same thing where it's asking you questions, you answer them, you ask what kind of aesthetics you want, and then it will build it based on the answers that you gave it. You can also do things such as text design products. So if say you want to create, different text animations like I have here. So essentially I said, create me a list of different fonts that I can use in my upcoming website build. Make sure they have an animation based on what they are called. So as you can see, it's done frosty, blaze, glitch, bouncy, and all the words have an animation that's to do with the text kind. So, if you're building a product that has something to do with frostiness or fieriness, you can play around with these different kind of texts. You could say, hey, maybe 10 different kind of fonts that have fire as the theme and an animation built in. And then you can go through the different ones and pick, hey, this one looks really good. I'm going to use this on my website. And quite honestly, looking at some of these texts, some of them are really good. Again, even 5-10 years ago, this would cost you a ton of money to get done from a designer. We're talking thousands of dollars to get a ton of mockups like this made. Now, it would still cost a lot to get top designers to do this kind of thing. Again, it all comes down to taste and how much do you trust your own taste compared to other people's. And do you trust yourself to make something really good with this tool? Now, you can also share whatever you made on Claude Design, so you can copy it to a teammate, you can export as all different kinds of file types, you can even send it to Canva, which I think is really really cool. And now say you have something that you want to keep the same, but you want to duplicate it and use it as a start for something else. You can duplicate it as a template or duplicate the project entirely and then just edit the other one so you don't mess up your original prompt. This is going to be really good for working within teams. Now, create from template is essentially when you just have a project already and you want to use it as the base for other things going forward. So say you have a base app onboarding that you want to start with, you would just go from there and you would prompt on top of that, say, I want this, and this change. Okay, and then last but not least, you have the set up the design system. Now, I'm going to do this right here with you. Essentially, what a design system is if you have a company or a software product or even a physical product, you're going to want to have a set of fonts, colors, and design rules that you stick to. So when you're designing something, you're always making sure stuff is consistent. So I'm going to do this for my SaaS product. I would just go welcome screen. It's very basic. That's not all that is. I'm just doing this for example purposes again. So you can add GitHub repos. So if you wanted to connect your GitHub and your code, you can put it through here. You can actually link code through your computer too. You can upload a fig file. Okay, so just for example purposes, I'm going to attach our logo. I'm going to go here. And then I'm going to type cool. Continue to generate. As you can see, it's going to take about 5 minutes, so it does take quite a while. But once you have it set up, you're going to be able to generate tons of different things and keep the designs consistent every single time. Okay, while that's getting sorted out, let me show you how you export your work and actually do it within Claude Code. So you can just go hand off to Claude Code here. Now you can send it to a local coding agent. You can also do it using Claude Code Web, which I'm going to do. I'm going to open in Claude Code Web here. Now, or I just have to, sorry, not now. And now it's actually going to create the app that I designed within Claude Design. So you can very seamlessly go from Claude Design to Claude Code and back again. Now, I'm not going to make you watch while it figures this out and codes the whole thing, but you get the point. So my design system is finished. As you can see, it has given me a couple of different blues, what our screen app overview should look like, some typography, our colors, our signature blue, black, white, the neutral scale, which is really cool, how we space our thing, corner radii. I'm not even familiar with a lot of these design aspects, to be completely honest, so it's really cool. I know our head of product would be super stoked to see all this kind of stuff. But it also goes over buttons, components, different things like that. So essentially anyone that comes in eventually and takes a look at this, they're going to be able to make sure they're maintaining a very set standard of things. And if I want to use this as a template to create whatever it may be, whether it's a pitch deck or an app in the future or whatever it is, I can just go here and use this design system as the very basis of that, as can anyone else if I share it with them. And we can make sure that our designs will always be extremely consistent with each other. So super powerful tool. And again, you can always tweak it. You can just describe what you want to create down here. In terms of the editing bar down here, you can always change which model you're using. You can attach files, and then you can also speak to it. So if you don't want to type and you just want to describe with voice what you want to design, you can do that. And then you can also import other designs from elsewhere as well. All right, so there you go. As you can see, Claude Design is not perfect, but it is extremely powerful and very good. It's an amazing starting point for anyone who wants to design any kind of project, from apps, websites, whatever it may be. Again, it's not going to get you all the way there. It's not going to make you the world's best designer, but it enables you to do things that you would never have been able to do 5 years ago without paying a designer thousands of dollars. So I think that's pretty sweet. I'm going to do more deep dives on it, more tutorials. And if you want to stay on top of AI and make sure that you're dominating the next decade and not getting left behind, make sure to like and subscribe. See you next time.